AITA for embarrassing my neighbor because they didn't understand me and I refused to switch to English. My F29 husband M31 and moved to a nice flat near the city centre. We're in England. It's a rather nice area. Our next door neighbor has her balcony next to ours. My husband is half Spanish, half Polish. I am Polish. We speak both languages and often speak in a weird amalgamation of both, sometimes adding English to the mix. Anyway, both languages are spoken rather fast or they seem so and can sound a bit aggressive if you're not used to them. I've had people assume I was angry because of how the language sounded to them when I was having a completely pleasant conversation. My neighbor was no exception. She's heard us talking and must have assumed we were arguing. We weren't. She approached me and asked me, concerned, if I was okay. I was confused. And she explained that she'd heard our arguments. I explained that I was fine and we hadn't argued at all. I suggested that it might be because of how harsh both languages can sound. She didn't believe me and told me she was there if I needed help. I told my husband. We laughed and decided to speak a bit more quietly just in case. One day, we were chatting and joking around when two police officers knocked on our door. Someone called with concerns about my well-being. WTF? We explained our situation. They took me aside and I had to explain everything. It was humiliating, even more so for my poor husband. The next day, my neighbor approached me again and I repeated that we weren't arguing and she had to let it go. She told me that she wouldn't have to worry if we just switched to English. I told her we wouldn't be doing that and she'd have to take my word for it and stop bothering us. Last night, she posted a recording to our neighborhood's group. It was of me having a good time with my husband, joking around. She said she believed I was in danger and asked what to do and who to report it to because I was in denial. People were agreeing with her, calling me names and told her to keep recording because I was covering for him and complaining how difficult it was to help foreigners when they don't speak English. They called me all sorts of names for covering for my husband and I was just confused. It was until someone who spoke Spanish chimed in and said that we weren't arguing. Someone else who spoke Polish said the same thing and told her to mind her own business instead of recording people. She removed the recording. Today, she knocked on my door, shouting at me, telling me I humiliated her and I must have done it on purpose to toy with her when she was just concerned. I told her I explained it to her many times but she wouldn't listen. She kept shouting and calling me names and I just shut the door in her face. My neighbor is still furious with me and I am confused and I do feel bad because I understand where she was coming from and she had good intentions. Should I had switched to English to avoid the whole situation? It would have been an easy fix. Am I the asshole for confusing her?